Welcome back to another edition of Out of the Groove Power Hour presented by Circle B Diecast. Be sure to use code OOTG for free shipping on all orders over $30 at circlebdiecast.com. My name is Eric Estep. I am joined, as always, by the one and only, the very busy Brennan Poole. Also sporting a slightly different hairstyle for our YouTube viewers. I like it. I see it. The gravity has taken effect, it appears. I'm not used to seeing your hair go down.
I feel like I'm very like early 2000s right now. Very early 2000s. Blonde hair, dyed bleach hair down in your face. I'm early 90s, man.
There's some punk rock going there.
2000s. Yeah, for sure. I feel cool. I had like a little bit dark sides, I had a little bit of the dark sides going on. I was like a little bit of like a two-toned, but now I'm all back the same color, and it feels a little bit better. But those of you that don't know, I may have said it on the show or not before, but my hair is actually bleached to honor my mom who passed away. It's been a little bit more over a year, and I used to bleach my hair like every summer when I raced quarter midgets, because at my school where I grew up, you weren't allowed to like dye your hair or do anything fun. So like over the summer was always something fun that I did with my mom. So this is in to remember her, and it's been fun, and now I really like it. So I'm keeping the blonde at least for a little while longer.
Absolutely. Well, I said you've been very busy. It's been a while. We've both been busy. It's been a while since we recorded an episode. Last time we did this, we had Mark Martin on. Today, I'm very excited. We'll be bringing Jeremy Clements in, driver, team owner, fellow competitor, rival on the track, Brennan. Both y'all full-time in Xfinity. I know. But before we talk about Xfinity, Brennan, since we last recorded, you have made several Cup Series starts. How about that? As well as a few Truck Series starts. Dude, first off, what's it like driving the next gen car? Because I remember texting you, I think, right before you made your first start at Dover, and you were just hoping you got like practice in. Like you were hoping practice wouldn't get rained out because you needed some seat time before you like Dover is a tricky track, I imagine, to just feel it out. So anyway, next gen car, first impressions, go, Brennan.
Well, it has a lot more grip than I thought it was going to have. You have all these ideas of what the car is going to be like in your mind from talking to other drivers, talking to engineers, what people are saying, what you see on TV, what you see when you're like watching onboard camera footage. So you have all these thoughts of what it's going to be like, but you really don't know until you do it. So yeah, Dover, my first time on the track, I just drove it off into the corner and was just like, see what it does, and just prayed that my skill and abilities would be able to save the car if anything weird happened. Because you don't know what to expect. You have no clue.
You got to find that limit somehow.
Yeah, you have to.
Rip off the Band-Aid.
I looked at the footage. I said, a lot of guys in like race runs were like lifting at like the 2 cone, just past the 2 cone last year. And I think we had a little bit less downforce. Or maybe it was the same. I can't remember the package. Excuse me on that. I don't remember. But I just drove to the 2 cone, I remember, and just was like, I'm lifted. And then I was like, what's it going to do? And then when I got in the corner, I was like, the car just gripped up. And I was like, whoa, I need to get in the gas. And I just like floored it. And like way more grip than I thought it was going to have. But the way that the car makes grip is just a lot different than anything I've ever driven before, because of with the floor and the diffuser and all this stuff. Like that's where the grip is made. It's not really through side force like it is on the Xfinity cars or the old Cup cars or even the trucks for that matter. Like, so it's a totally different feel. They drive totally different, and they do a lot of interesting, strange things that were all things I was feeling for the very first time. So I think for how things started off for me, like at Dover, I felt like we were really fast. And of course, everyone saw what happened there to me in my scenario, that scenario there. And then Kansas is a really good track for me for whatever reason. And I felt like we had a really good pace, and we ran inside like the top 25 for pretty much the entire race, minus a couple of stuff we did on pit stops and things like that where we might have given up some track position, but we drove right back to there where we needed to be. So then I got caught up in a little incident. It was just kind of like a racing deal, and we had some damage and wound up finishing 28th. But I think that was a really good weekend for me, and it gave me some confidence. I was like, man, I've got pace. I'm racing around the 41 and the 14, and I passed the 24 car for position in the middle of the
Yeah,
race, and he ended up finishing third. So like those types of things give you confidence. Like, okay, and that was basically my first race. Technically,
yeah.
Kansas was, because I got like 80 laps the week before. So
Mm,
with all that bred a lot of confidence. And then of course, we had a transmission issue at Darlington, which was
sure.
unfortunate. So yeah, I
You've
know I'm
learned
gonna get,
quickly. It looks like you haven't
yeah.
missed a beat. Like honestly,
What it looks like, I haven't missed a beat
yeah.
from on driving wise.
Well, from running Cup last time last time
Oh
we saw you in the Cup Series was 2020, and I mean, I don't. You're probably in better. I don't know if you're. I mean, all the cars are more equal now than I guess they were
yeah,
3 years
it's
ago. So
definitely,
you're probably in a better car now.
yeah, for sure.
So
I'm definitely the best cup car I've ever driven. Before, like in 2020, like I knew I was racing around the same like 4 or 5 guys every
mhm,
week. This time, like I passed the 6 twice in the race. Like I battled door to door with them, like racing them.
that's fun.
So for me, that was a new experience, because I hadn't been in that in a car capable of doing that yet, and like battling right around in 20th. So that was a lot of fun. And to be able to be one of those 36 guys that gets to race on Sunday, anytime you get to do it, it's so special,
Yeah,
because it's just so difficult to do that, to be one of the, like, there's 36 guys in the world, and that never gets lost on me. Just like our conversation with Mark Martin, you have to try to soak up those moments as much as you can, because it's just it's an honor to be one of those guys. Just being able to take part of that is really, really, really cool. It's like there's nothing else that I want to do more in my life than to be able to do that every week. It's just it's so cool. So I was grateful for those opportunities. I know I'm going to get at least one more. Hopefully I get more through that, but you got to get results on Sundays. So hopefully I can get some good finishes. And you never know. The fight continues to for me to one, my dream is to get back to racing Sundays full time, but to get back in a competitive situation. So I was very happy. I think RWR has put themselves in an incredible position. I mean, Rick's been doing a great job, with the cars being the way that they are, and they're in the Roush building now.
that's true.
Stuff's they're headed in the right direction. So
They've
it was
got
just
Ryan
cool.
Newman in there now as well, helping feel some things
Yeah,
out, give him some. Have you
yeah,
have you guys run this race together yet? Have you gotten to like
yeah.
sit
We
in
were
with
at
Newman in
Yeah, we
meetings?
were at Darlington together. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, I have. Ryan, I had done some stuff with Ryan before in years past. He's always been kind to me when I was running in the Xfinity series, and when I was, on that grind over there. So I've had a lot of conversations with him over the years. And of course, I've donated to some of the charities and stuff that he's been involved in. So like we have had a good relationship
that's great.
over the years. So it was very easy to be teammates with him, because of the relationship that we've had prior. So that was fun. It was cool, easy, good conversations and stuff
That's
like
cool.
that. But like I said, grateful to have those opportunities, grateful to feel what the new car was like. I have a much better understanding now when I'm even watching the races of what's going on, because I know what the cars are like to drive. So it's been helpful to me to learn more stuff as I'm watching, because I know how the cars drive, if that makes sense.
For sure. Yeah. No, it's been a lot of fun. And I also can't remember have you got was it Atlanta? You finished top 5. Have we recorded since you had that top 5?
Talladega.
Talladega. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Talladega.
you Atlanta, you were in the
No.
mix as well. I don't think we've recorded since Talladega.
Yeah. No, Atlanta, I finished 13th. In Talladega, yeah, we finished 5th. Yeah, we had a really good race. I missed
That's cool.
dude. That one big wreck at the end, I was
Yeah.
like down on the flat, back up on the banking, back to the middle, back down. And the next thing I know, boom, I came out of it and I was in like 4th place. I
That
was like,
sounds
yeah,
like
be kidding me.
That sounds like the white flag at Talladega. That's awesome. It's been
Yeah.
fun to watch you. You've been racing a lot more the past month, Brennan, and
Mhm.
obviously you've started to have some success on the Xfinity Series side, and it's been cool to see you in a Cup Series car. Now the insight on this show will be even better because you know exactly what those drivers are feeling on
Yeah.
Sundays. I do though have to put you on the spot a little bit because also since we last recorded, you mentioned it, you were involved in an accident at Dover.
Yeah.
Went kind of viral a little bit for your comments about
Yeah.
Ross Chastain. Noah Gragson tried to take them to heart. I think like the very next week. It didn't go so well for
Yeah.
Noah, but I guess take us through, you've had a few weeks now to sit on it. We've seen Ross Chastain make some other enemies this year. I know it's a couple weeks from Darlington, but we saw how that race ended with him and Larson in the fence. I guess now, how do you look back at that incident with Ross Chastain, and how do you feel other Cup Series drivers in the garage, like, how do you think they actually feel about Ross and other drivers who race kind of like aggressively like that?
Yeah. Oh, well, I think in the moment I was obviously pretty upset
We
because
could tell, yeah.
you only get so many opportunities,
Yeah.
and I'm in that fight to prove to the people I need to prove to that I, deserve to be in that race car every week. So when you're having a good run and we had this pace that we had, we had a bad pit stop right before that. So we already had given up a few spots that we shouldn't have given up, which maybe we would never have been in that situation regardless had we not had an issue with getting a tire off on the stop. So, it's kind of like, whatever. But when that happens, you're just like, I mean, I got to run 80 laps and I don't know if I'm going to get to run this car again. I don't know how many more of these chances I'm going to get. All I know is that I had a top 25 car today in a situation where that result would have been huge for me as far as moving forward and getting more opportunities, and it got taken away. So in that moment, when you're thinking of those things, you're just so up mad. So that was probably the first part of it. I've talked to Ross, obviously. I think I have a lot of respect for Ross. The way that he's made it, the way that he has made it, it's incredibly difficult to do. There's very few drivers, and I say this, trying to be as nice as I can about it, but there's very few drivers who make it all the way in this sport that don't really come from like huge financial backing from a parent or some uncle that owns some massive company or something like that.
Sure.
It's very rare you see it anymore in today's world. So I have a lot of respect for guys like Ross and Daniel Hemrick, and guys who have fought to get there that don't come from the type of money it takes to make it to this level. They've fought and got there off of their abilities. So I have a tremendous amount of respect for the few guys that are out there that have done it that way. So it makes it tough when you have an altercation with somebody like that you respect. Ross and I have talked many times over the years. I think we've always had a lot of respect for each other because of the way that we have received our opportunities. So yeah, but I mean, we had a great conversation. And I think you just move on from it. Once something is done, it's done, and you can't go back. You can't change it. You can't fix it. It's over. So, you just move on to the next race, and that's what I've done. And you work hard to get more opportunities, which that's what I'm doing. I think, as far as what other drivers think, I don't know. And I don't,
I guess I have to ask them.
yeah, you have to ask them. But I will say this. I don't think Ross cares what they think.
Mm.
And I don't think he should care what they think. As a race car driver, it's your job to go out there and get results. Ross has been getting results. He's wrecked people in the process. I think sometimes when it's for position, understandable, but when it's for nothing, that's like in my situation where it was difficult to take. But I think, when you're battling inside the top 5 or it's for a race win, it's nothing I wouldn't do. So I'm not gonna, it's kind of like who can throw the first stone. You can't. Denny Hamlin's moved people for wins. They all have. Every person in the Cup Series at some point in their career, whether it's in any of the top 3 or it's been ARCA or it's been late models or it's been whatever, they've moved somebody out of the way for a win. And maybe sometimes they did it too much. It's just, that's racing, man.
Yeah.
And I think the fans love it one way or the other. You hate it if it's your guy that got taken out and didn't win the race, but you love it if your guy did it and he won the race. And that's the entertainment factor in the sport. So for me, it sucked it happened to me when it was for nothing. But when I see him do other things in other circumstances, I'm like, it's just racing. So, it's just racing.
Sure.
And like what happened at Darlington, he's battling for the win. Very well, possibly the move for the win, and gets caught up in an accident. Not going to place that. That's a racing incident. You can get as mad as you want about it. It sucks. for both people involved. But at the end of the day, that's just a racing incident. Both
Yeah,
guys on the
just
line, not
pushing.
giving an inch.
Yeah, you just
What?
pushed a little too hard when going for everything.
Right.
Yeah,
And
no,
how many
I get
people
you.
screamed and yelled at the TV and went berserk in the stands when it happened?
I mean,
Oh my
emotion is
God.
good. Yeah,
I mean, I had people, I was driving back from the race when that happened. And I, because I was mad we broke and all that stuff. So I left. And I mean, people in my vehicle were screaming about watching it happen on their phones, screaming. So, like,
wow,
that part of it is so valuable to the
that's
sport
true.
on the entertainment. It's entertainment. At the end of the
He is a
day, for the
highlight reel.
racers,
So
yeah, for the racers, we're there to win. For the fans, it's about entertainment, and for the sponsors, it's about making money, and that's what it's about. That's what
yeah,
it's
there
about,
you go. You
man.
just summed it up. It's a
Yeah,
three-pronged attack. There you go.
yeah,
Yeah, the way I
exactly.
see it is Ross's driving style hasn't really changed too much. It's just now he's running up front in the Cup Series where it's more visible than ever. And so
Yeah,
when he does upset somebody, it's a headline as opposed to a footnote, as it might have been
yeah,
in years previously. Well, I wanted to hear your take on that. I'm glad to know that you guys have talked. Sounds like you're on pretty
yeah,
good terms. I know you and Ross, y'all go way back. Y'all are pretty
yeah,
good terms before this incident. So I'm glad.
yeah.
I don't want to see friendships ruined by a competition. No, I'm just messing around.
It's
But
just it's racing. Like
yeah, yeah,
like we've talked about before. Like, we're still all competitors, and we're still all fighting for 36 seats. And there's only so many
yeah.
spots. There's only so many drivers. So at the end of the day, we're all against each other, no matter what.
It
Oh, we're
does.
buddies. We're buddies. We're buddies. No, they're
When
not
push comes to
buddies.
shove, no, that's tough. Yeah.
No, they're not. It's just the way the sport is.
Real quick before we bring in Jeremy Clements, I'm excited to catch up with
Mhm.
Jeremy. I do want to talk about North Wilkesboro Speedway for a moment. Brennan, you were up. First off, let me know where you were at. You were in Michigan, is that correct?
Yeah. So shout out to the Venturini family. The Venturinis helped me a lot in my career. I definitely would not have gotten as far as I got without their support. They're very close to me. So Billy Venturini was
Hmm.
going to come out of retirement to race at Flat Rock Speedway. So a little bit of history.
Huh.
Billy's father raced there, and I believe it was his first win. I think it was like 82 or 83.
Wow.
Can't quite remember, but Billy was in victory lane there. And so was Wendy. I think Wendy was like 4 then. I'm not sure. I think that's what I learned this week. I can't remember, but yeah. So that he always wanted to race there. Like, he always wanted to race Flat Rock. And when his race driving career started, they took it off the schedule. So he had been talking to Arca. I'm like, man, if you guys put Flat Rock back on the schedule, I might have to come out of retirement and race that one. So they did it, and they to see if he would do it, and he did. Of course, he went and ran the race. And so he asked me if I would come up there and help and spot him during the race. So I went and
Nice.
did that. And it was weird because Billy has always been the one telling me what to do throughout my career. And this time was roles reversed. So I was getting to yell at him and tell him where to be out on the track and be like, what are you doing? I was like, you got to get in the corner deeper. So we had a tremendous amount of fun. And then, of course, he did a great job in the race. It's a 150 lap race straight through, no breaks. He managed his tires well. And he made some awesome moves, which was great to see. I mean, after 17 years of not driving anything, the cars
That's
have
cool.
changed drastically.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, everything about it is different, and he hopped right in and adapted quickly and finished P4. Man,
That's
I think
crazy.
that's pretty good. He beat the last week's winner. I mean,
That's
that's pretty
awesome.
good. That's pretty good. So we had a great time, and man, it was so much fun, and all his family was out. People I haven't seen in a long time, and yeah, we really enjoyed it.
That's great. And I'll ask you about it in a moment, but I hope you got a chance to watch the action at North Wilkesboro, at least some of it,
I did.
because that's where I'm going with this. I'm wearing it for our YouTube viewers. I'm wearing a nice sort of retro style North Wilkesboro Speedway hat. I'm a hat guy, Brennan. I like wearing different
Yeah,
hats.
yeah.
And, anyway, this looks cool. But North Wilkesboro Speedway was awesome. So I was there and I was there from Thursday. Well, I guess I showed up Friday morning and was there through the race Sunday night. And I don't want this to be too redundant. I think most everyone's heard the praises that everyone's singing for Marcus Smith and Speedway Motorsports, NASCAR bringing it back, all that great stuff. Very much Dale Earnhardt Jr., iRacing, the role they played in it. I want to actually just talk about the amenities at the facility because I know the product on TV, Sunday night especially, left a lot to be desired. Kyle Larson just stunk up the show. But in person, especially during the open race, the crowd was really unlike that of any other NASCAR race I've been to, because it's about 30,000 fans. They're bigger crowds most weeks for sure, but you're on top of everything. Everyone's on top of one another. And, from people doing the wave beforehand to beach balls being bounced around a couple sections over from where I was sitting, from then during the race, especially in the open when McDowell got turned by Ty Gibbs, then he comes out on track and was sort of blocking Ty Gibbs, costing Gibbs a shot at the win. The crowd was insane. They were getting up. McDowell was the star of the show. You'd think he was Chase Elliott, how enthusiastic they were. So between the crowd enthusiasm, we joke all the time. NASCAR fans love to complain. I did not see a lot of complaining this weekend from fans who were at North Wilkesboro Speedway. And so I do think the whole team over there deserves some credit for turning this once abandoned, forgotten short track in basically the middle of nowhere into, the hottest ticket of the 2023 NASCAR season. And, logistically speaking, yeah, parts of the track were run down, a lot of dirt roads and hills and gravel areas and, porta potties and, food trucks and stuff. Parts of it felt dated, felt old, but it maintained its charm. And I don't think, like, they tweeted that the parking lots cleared in less than 2 hours. Like, they avoided being Kentucky 10 years ago or 12 years ago, whenever it was, when that traffic disaster maybe marred that track's future, quite honestly. So I just wanted to give a shout out. North Wilkesboro Speedway does deserve, I think, the credit they've been getting for the fan experience at the track they created. I even saw the Dierks Bentley concert Sunday afternoon before the race. And I'm not a big country music guy, but he put on a good show. And the crowd there in the fan zone stage, it was big. It was probably 10,000 people. It was huge. People were packed. So I just wanted to kind of give my perspective in person, like, believe the hype. I'm sure it's nauseating at this point. Yes, we get it. North Wilkesboro is great. They did a great job. But, like, I can't stress enough. It felt like a track that was ready to host 2 races a year. Like, in many ways, it really did. I'd compare it to Martinsville or Bristol. It was at or very close to their level as far as the in-person fan experience. And I think that's impressive. What did you see on TV, or what have you heard from people who are at the track, Brennan? Do you agree with my assessment?
Well, here's what I'll say. Yeah, I agree with your assessment 100%. Here's what I'll say. I think they need more tracks like this on the schedule all over the country. Granted, that might be difficult to do, but hear me out. I think in our sport, the fans love the nostalgia and the history of where the sport originated from. And North Wilkesboro is a great example of that. The history there, the things that have happened there, its location, like everything about it, brings back all those feels that you love from the late 90s or early 90s, depending on how old or young you are. But I think, it would be awesome to see them do this more. I think it's a great track. I think it's a great facility. I think it blends very well with the modern and the old, and I think it's a good racetrack. So I think, I think we will see it. At what level, I don't know. Two race weekends, I don't know about that. But maybe one race weekend solid, and maybe it's Xfinity and trucks or something. I don't know. Or maybe they do the All-Star again there. I personally hope that they try to revive another track. I know there's lots of speculation out there, like, oh, Rockingham's been repaved, and like some of these other places where they could do it there. Like, I'd like to see them do it again and somewhere else. But I think, did we talk about this before, where it's like it should be at a different track every year?
The All-Star race?
I think
we could definitely rotate that, or the Clash. I don't know. The Clash is a tough one because February is such a weird time of the year for a lot of areas. Like, you're not going to race very far north. I mean, even North Wilkesboro might be tough to race at in February. Weather might be a bit unpredictable. So, I was there any FOMO, fear of missing out, with Xfinity Series not there this weekend? Like,
I really wish I would have got to race there. I really did. I'm glad I got to go to Flat Rock and have that experience. It was fun, and it was it's an off weekend and I went racing somewhere, right? But I think it just would have been really cool to have the Xfinity cars there to run that race. It's like you have the trucks, and that's great, but the Xfinity cars on that track, full blown race, I think would have just been crazy. I think it would have been the show. the show to see. And so I kind of feel like we missed out a little bit on that. But that doesn't mean I don't think Xfinity will race there in the future. So, yeah, I would have liked to have been able to be there and to have seen all that, but and I hate that I didn't get to run there. I'm hoping that I will get to in the future. And in the meantime, I went and did something pretty special with a group of a family that helped me tremendously in my career. And I got to see somebody that used to yell at me and tell me I was doing things wrong. I got to do that to them,
It's a powerful
which was
feeling.
fun. Yeah, it was just fun. It was just really cool. So
Oh yeah.
I enjoyed the weekend, but also, yeah, I mean, I wish I'd have been out there in the race. Wish I could have raced on Sunday, but I didn't. I got to enjoy it and watch it on TV and see it that way. But
Yeah.
it is what it is. But I definitely think they should do something more. There are other racetracks. I mean, I really want them to like fix Pikes Peak. I don't know what
Ooh,
I
okay.
really want them to race there again. Like I think we should go there. I
It's
think
an
there's
untapped
a
market right
market
now.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of fans still there.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think, man, that would be sick. So maybe that's a place. Maybe they do an all-star and do a weekend out there in Colorado. I think that would be crazy. And it's pretty centrally located. So maybe that would work.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
But
not too
it won't
far. I mean, how far is that from like Denver or Colorado Springs is
not
like
that
right
far.
there.
Yeah, it's like right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not
So
that far.
that's not too
Yeah.
bad. I like that
No, I
idea.
think it would
It's
be fun.
not a bad idea at all. Yeah. Marcus Smith, you need more ideas? There you go.
Pikes Peak.
Let's do it. The show is sponsored by our friends at Circle B Diecast. We truly appreciate their support. Once again, you can use code OOTG. It stands for Out of the Groove. Just headbutted my microphone with my hat. You can use that code
And
OOTG for free shipping on orders over $30 at circlebdiecast.com. We always show off our favorite diecast here at the midway portion of the show.
mhm,
In
mhm.
honor of All-Star Weekend, I brought back this, can we call it a throwback? It almost looks cursed now. The 2020 All-Star race was won by Chase Elliott. I've got one of the light up race win diecast. Look at that. Yeah, little orange Chevy lights
I don't
underneath.
know what I have to say about that, to be honest. The numbers back on the rear quarter look bad. I'm glad we moved them forward, to
I
be
agree.
honest.
I agree. I can't believe that this was initially the kind of the what they were going to do, and then last minute it was like, nope, we're going to slide him forward instead. I think they made the right
Yeah,
call. This is
they
a cool
definitely made
car.
the right
I love this race one. I love the detail on the rear quarter panels and the blown out left rear tire,
call. Yeah, that
and of
is
course the
cool.
lights. Lights look cool on this one. We may never see that on a diecast again, so I'm glad I have this in my collection. Brennan, do you have a special
Yeah,
car to showcase?
I've been saving this one. I
All
changed
right.
these out through each show,
Yeah.
but these have been here for the last one as well. I'm pulling out the old DW
He was back in the broadcast
17.
booth this weekend.
Oh, dude, I loved it, to be honest with you. I
I
really
heard.
liked
I
it.
haven't gone back and look. I heard they didn't let him say boogity, or he didn't say boogity, boogity, boogity. Is
Maybe
that?
I don't think he did. No, I
Oh
don't
my
think he did.
gosh! Whoa! What's going on?
All I want to say is that 17 is my favorite number. Those of you that may not have followed a lot of my racing career when I was, coming up through the ranks. I mean, if you knew my late model stuff, I ran the number 5 because 17 was taken. And my very first car was the number 5 for Speed Racer, Mach 5. But if I could choose any number, like I choose 17 for everything, every sport, every video game, every anything.
Same.
And plus I love the looks of these cars.
That's a cool one.
And man, tied iconic sponsorship number 17, old DW. He's a legend in the sport. This is a really, really cool diecast to have. Every time I see this thing, man, I'm like, golly, those cars were so sick back then. Of course it's hard to see for the viewers, but I'm looking in here at the seat. That's not a carbon fiber seat in there, man. It's like a stool and a little head and a head back plate. Those guys, man, some kahunas on those guys.
That's awesome. I can relate to you picking numbers other than 17. So 17 is my favorite number for Matt Kenseth.
Yeah.
In base when I played baseball, I wore 16 because there was another player who wore number 17 and he'd been there longer than me. And I love in
Yeah.
like professional sports players will like offer like if someone gets traded or something and they like want like if Tom Brady were to get when he like went to the Buccaneers, I don't know if he had to do this, but he wanted number 12. Like he needed number 12. If somebody had been number 12, he probably would have like they offer to
Paid
buy him
them
out.
for it.
Yeah, they buy them out
Yeah.
of their own numbers. I love that.
Yeah.
I didn't have as a 9-year-old playing baseball. I couldn't afford to buy out Danny.
Buy
I
out
think
the
was his
they
name.
did the same thing to me. Our coaches His number was 17, so I was never getting
Oh,
that. So I
what a
chose
jerk.
3 for Dale. All my other numbers were taken.
3 for Dale.
I
That's not
I,
bad though.
I usually go 21. That was my dad's baseball and football number. He was number 21. So if I can't be 17, I usually choose 21. If I can't do that, then it's usually 5.
Then I
Because
just take
I've
whatever
won a lot of
jersey
races in the
fits.
number 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever jersey fits. Well, sometimes they do that in school too. It's like the lower numbers are the
That
smaller
that's
jerseys,
happened to
right?
me when I played basketball. It was all the only jerseys that fit me being super tall were in the 40s. So I was kind of
Yeah.
stuck. Appreciate Circle B Diecast sponsoring the show. Without further ado, though, let's bring in a good friend of mine, good friend of the show as well, Jeremy Clements. He's calling in now. Let's talk to Jeremy. Let's bring him on in. We are now joined by Jeremy Clements, driver of the number 51 in the Xfinity Series. Hello, I like that. Jeremy, it's great to see you again, dude. It's been a while, I think, since we've chat, really. How have you been, first and foremost? How's it going?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, I see you all the time. You're so damn tall, so it's not hard to miss you. You can see you walking through the infield pretty easily. But yeah, it's been good. I mean, as good as it can be for a small independent driver that has to deal with everything on his team. It's a lot to juggle. We just had a good off weekend. I did go to the Braves game and had some drinks and had some fun, and then yeah, we're racing this weekend at Charlotte, so it's going to be a good weekend.
What'd you think of the Braves, the Atlanta Braves stadium? I went there for the first time a few weeks ago, and I thought it was pretty cool. Are you a baseball guy? I geek out over like baseball stadiums and the style and the look. What'd you think? Was it good?
Well, I love going to different ballparks. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I don't really watch it like at home and just sit there and watch it, but I love going, eating a bratwurst, drinking cold beer, eating peanuts. That's fun to me. Hanging out with the boys. So we had a boy night, and I have a friend that's got a good connection that works there, so we didn't have to pay anything for the tickets. Had great tickets, about 4 rows up, and man, it was badass. So. And I love, since we get to travel, I love getting to go to different stadiums. So I've been to a few over the years, and yeah, the new Brave Stadium is amazing, and there's so much stuff to do around there too.
I don't mean to devolve this into baseball stadium talk, but what is your favorite stadium you've been to so far?
Well, real quick, I've been to the White Sox, Cubs,
Okay.
Braves, of course. Let's see, the Cardinals. There might be one more, but I can't think right off. But I think I'm gonna go with the Cubbies. That's
classic.
Wrigley Field. That's a classic field.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been to a few Wrigley Day games over the years through traveling and the racing and everything too. And yeah, it's like it's so amazing, and it's so old, so much history. It's just so cool when you go in there. Plus, like you said, I mean, my favorite thing to do is get peanuts and a Coke, and you make a mess at your seat. But yeah, it's just not much. There's not much better than that.
It's so funny you said that. I took a picture under where I was sitting because I made such a damn mess. Like there were just peanuts and everything I was eating was just right there. And I was like, man, I feel bad for whoever's going to clean this up.
Well, let's jump into some hard hitting NASCAR racing questions. Jeremy, I've got a lot of respect for you. One, because you do it yourself, but in doing that, I'm sure there's a lot of challenges that you face, but I'm sure there's a lot of positives to that as well. I know your family's involved. Your dad's at the racetrack. It's got to be cool getting to still race as a family team run operation. But could you talk a little bit about, the challenges, but also maybe some of the stuff that you benefit from just having your family and everybody involved in your program?
Oh, Brandon, that's very nice of you to say. First of all, it's definitely a tough deal. I feel like it just gets harder and harder as the years go by. I mean, the competition level this year is unreal. To run top 20 is a feat in itself, and really just to keep this deal going and it not go under because you're spending too much money. That's challenging to do, and you want to run good, but it's it can be tough on the relationship side with your family. We build our own engines. I complain about them a lot. I mean, we talked about it at a racetrack. I think Phoenix. Everybody, all these teams have got lease motors. All these smaller teams got lease motors, and it makes it very hard to keep up with those guys. And, I'm just constantly, hey, we need better motors. We need this, that. And the car didn't drive good this weekend, and it wasn't the motor's fault. And,
Yeah.
it just kind of, it can be difficult to navigate that. And then, like we had Mother's Day, went to see my mom once we got back from Darlington that weekend. And my dad brings up about some racing and some bills. And I'm like, can we just not talk about racing tonight? Like, let's just leave that alone. So it can be hard to navigate all that, to be honest with you, man. But I'm very fortunate. Yeah, I've raced with my family since I was 7. And obviously that's been a blessing, huge blessing. And then over the years, more and more, it's gotten to where it's in my lap, where I've got to take control over it and manage it the way I see fit to try to make us better and keep it going too. So it's fun, man. It's just a lot to deal with, to be honest. And like I said, it just, when you got to deal with like getting sponsors, keeping them happy, getting the cars fast, employees, getting money, being the driver too, it's definitely a lot. So, but I'm like, well, hey, don't complain about it. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying this part of it. I'm like, way better than being having a normal job.
Yeah, I think, I can understand how that could be very overwhelming at times, but then also you guys have had so much success and you've been able to win a few races in the second highest form of motorsports in this country, which is incredibly impressive. And yeah, I think it's just cool to see what you guys have been able to accomplish, in that you are able to continue to race, because we all know, I mean, the drivers know, and I think a lot of the fans and the team owners and stuff in the garage area know how difficult it is to keep operating and keep running, and what it costs and how expensive it is to run good, like you talked about, but also just to continue to make it year after year after year. And you guys have been successful at doing that to this point, and so I think it's cool to see. And you run good, you're competitive, and I will agree with you, it is probably one of the most competitive Xfinity fields I've seen in a long time. It is crazy difficult to run in the top 20. You have to be perfect. And like in our situation, you're driving the car like literally on the limit the entire time, the whole day to run 20th. It's crazy. It's very challenging. That part of it's fun, but yeah, I agree with you. It's just it's crazy competitive this year.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, like you said, I mean, we're running cars that we got in 2019 from Ganassi, and we ran the hell out of these cars. I mean, they're used. I feel like they're just used up, and then it's just hard. Like, you gotta, if you gave me a pot of money, I could easily spend it right now to try to make our team better. But yeah, it's fun. I love it. I mean, our best finish this year is 2/14. That really irks me, because we should have had a couple of top 10s in there. But damn, I thought we'd had a top 10 by now. So that's very frustrating to me as the driver. But hopefully we'll get there.
How many full-time employees do you guys have now in your operation?
We've got 4, and then we've got a couple guys that come in. My friend Blake, he's a firefighter full-time, so he'll come in on his off days. Gary, he's another guy that comes in once, twice a week. So you got a couple guys that come in, other certain days, but 4 full-time.
That's incredible. Because I remember, and we're going to keep the vibes positive here, going back to last season, y'all win at Daytona. Ultimately qualify for the playoffs. I guess you've been in the playoffs 2 years in a row now, right?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I just remember the celebration, seeing you, Dad, like the whole group. It's such a tight knit group. It is a smaller operation. I mean, winning races like that. Let's just talk about that win. Let's talk about that Daytona win last year. What difference does that make for your organization?
Well, it's something I didn't see coming, guys, at all. I mean, those restrictor plate races. I have a love-hate relationship with them. I mean, I've been on the wrong end of those a lot. I pushed Brennan Poole to what I thought he should have won that race at Dega, and I finished 3rd. Ended up 4th, and I think he ended up 2nd. Is that right, Brandon?
3rd. They
Third.
Scored me 3rd.
Damn.
Yeah, which I don't know how that's possible still, but
You crossed the finish line first, buddy.
Yeah.
And I crossed it 3rd, and I was very happy with that. But just you play those races different ways. And at Daytona that night just happened to work out. I played I'm going to wait around game, and I went from 20 something to restarting fourth or fifth, and towards the end, and then we had a shot, and we put ourselves in contention somehow. So it just worked out. The luck, whatever you want to call it. The good Lord blessed us that night. We were able to win, and that was phenomenal. We had a lot of our partners and friends there, and they loved being a part of that. And it was just big. So just makes you, obviously, when you don't win, you want to win every weekend, guys. It's so damn tough, and it's like getting dessert. You want more dessert after your meal. You want it every meal. So you just want the wins more and more. But hopefully we can maybe sneak another one up coming up soon.
Yeah, I mean, it just hit me. The back-to-back playoff appearances. I mean, is that something you guys kind of hang your hat on, that you're up there at the end of the season, the last 2 years, you're one of those 12 alongside Joe Gibbs Racing, Team Penske in the past, Stewart Haas Racing. And then there's the 51, tried and true right there. Like that's got to be special, and that's got to make a difference. Like over time, like that has to be huge.
Yeah, definitely, dude. I mean, it's badass. I mean, the 2 years ago we made it on points, and then last year because of Daytona. So we're gonna have to win this year for sure. I don't even look at the points, guys. Just to be totally honest, I haven't paid attention. I did. Well, I'm gonna lie. I did see that we were 20th, but I didn't see like the spread there. But yeah, we're gonna have to win. I haven't looked at all that, but it'd be another must win situation.
Well, I've got one more question, then I'll let Brennan if he's got another one. But this kind of goes back to something you mentioned earlier, Jeremy. You guys, you've run your own operation for years now, and you mentioned I think you said it's gotten a lot harder. But I guess my question is, like, can you give us any like insight into like what's made it more and more difficult to be competitive as an independent team? Like, what has changed over these years that maybe you've noticed?
Well, it's just hard to keep all this going and make it as competitive as we have been over the years. We were very fortunate, like I said, in 2019 to get the kind of equipment we've never had. When you buy cars from these teams, they don't want to give you everything with them. So you're like getting a puzzle, and you're getting about half the pieces with them. And then you're trying to make that work, and you're just chasing your tail. So when we were able to get those cars, they just sold it all. So we were very lucky to get that kind of stuff, that it came with the right suspension, came with everything. So now after we've used these cars up, we've ran them a good bit. We really just need to spend more money. And when you're only getting you're getting what you're getting to go race, it's hard to try to buy new equipment and do all that the way it should be. And then on top of that, like I said, we built our own engine. So our I hate to say it, our engine's package isn't where it needs to be. We're trying to get there, but to catch ECR, Roush Yates, TRD, that's very tough to do. Our guys build dirt late model engines full time, very successful at that, and they do damn good work at that. But to build our engines, it's a whole nother animal, and they don't you can't really take what you do in a dirt late model motor to these engines. So for my dad and my uncle to do that on the side on the weekend to try to find more horsepower, it's very tough and time consuming and money. And like I said, the competition level just gotten more and more, and it's just hard to keep up with that. And that's what I mean by it's more challenging. And then like getting sponsors, getting everything that goes on with it, sponsors, pit crew, spotters, hell, even the food at the track. What are my guys going to eat every weekend? Yeah. I mean, just getting everything changes every year. At the end of the year, you're like, oh no, I got to start over. So that's what I mean by that.
Well, another question just hit me. Speaking of things changing every year, I don't even know if you've seen this or paid any attention to it at this point, Jeremy, but there have been reports that the Xfinity Series after next year might go exclusively onto a streaming service like an Amazon Prime, perhaps. And I think with that, likely there'd be an increase in the rights fee. Hopefully that would trickle down to the Xfinity Series teams. Like, I don't know, do you see that? Have you had any, I don't know if you've heard any of the rumblings or the conversations, but does that change any of how your team kind of thinks about the future?
Yeah, I saw some of that on Twitter, but I haven't heard a word about any of this myself. I don't know if there's been meetings with owners or something. I don't have a clue, but I don't know about all that, guys. I see it both ways. I'm like, if it trickles down money wise to us and the purses are way up, that's good.
Yeah.
That's how I get paid. Actually, I get a percentage of how we finish. It's a small one, guys, but it's that's how I get paid. So if I see the purses go up, the driver in me is like, hell yeah. But the other part of it is like, who's gonna like, yeah, like a lot of people have cut the cord cable wise and all that. That's good. But like when you're subscribed to 27 different things, are you going to subscribe to this next one to watch the NASCAR Xfinity Series? I don't know. How much that going to cost? I mean, I know NFL did it with Amazon. And this is just stuff off the top of my head. I don't have the answers, but it's very interesting. And whatever way we go, I hope it works for us.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all hope it works. I guess, okay, to wrap this up, I have one last question for you, Jeremy. I wanted to say, okay, so like this weekend, we didn't get the race. Xfinity cars didn't go to North Wilkesboro. I don't know how much of the race you saw or didn't get to see, but I was kind of bummed that we didn't get to go race there.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Kinda, it's iconic. It would have been cool to do it.
No doubt. We should have been there.
Yeah, it would have been awesome. We should have been there, but
we would have been the best race too, Brennan. I'm sorry not to cut you off.
Probably true. Did you get to watch any of the races or see the highlights or any of that stuff? I know you went and took your weekend off. I don't blame you for that. I actually went to the ARCA race in Flat Rock, over the weekend. Yeah, I was all the way up there in Michigan. I spotted for old Billy Venturini, which was a lot of fun.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I did see him get back behind the wheel. That's cool.
It was a lot of fun. But I wanted to ask you, like, what were your thoughts? Like, bummed we didn't get to do it, obviously, but what did you think about just like all the hype around the race, what you saw over the race weekend? Should we do it again, but bring Xfinity cars there? Let's throw that in there.
Well, I did see some of the action. I was driving to Atlanta, and I actually was riding passenger seat because I convinced my cousin to drive. And so I got to watch some of the race. We had it on XM radio listening, and the truck race finally got going and got some action, and there was some beating and banging, which you love to see, and some tempers flaring, and so that race was good. Obviously, I don't like seeing Larson and the Cup guys get in there and stink it up. I don't. In my opinion, if Cup guys get in these races, put them in middle tier cars or trucks. It's unfair as hell for them to get in the best equipment and go out there and race. Really, in my opinion. But the truck race was obviously way better. The Cup race, didn't watch much of that. The short track package is pretty rough at the moment, unfortunately. And what I did see, I didn't like. So that's just my honest opinion. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a whole. I mean, I think the Cup race too. Yeah, there needed to be maybe a little bit more action. I agree. I think the truck race was pretty good. Yeah, I mean, I would like to see the Cup guys. I mean, I run midfield trucks all the time, and sometimes I beat really good trucks all the time just through experience level, So
yeah, but 100%, the Xfinity Series should have been there. Me and you battling it out.
Yeah,
should have been there, and it would have been an epic race. I hope they do take us there again. I hope they take us there next year. I hope they do something to make some kind of second groove too. That place was too bottom line dominant. So I don't know what you do there. You put a grip strip like Pocono used to have in turn 3. Somehow, some way. That's the only way I could think. But make it some way, somehow we can race. There's another groove.
Yeah, they had. I think like the top 4 would pick the inside lane, and 5th place was on the front row because nobody trusted the outside. Yeah. I guess I was the only one here that was at North Wilkesboro. Atmosphere was great. They killed it as far as at the track. But I'm with you guys, especially the Cup race on Sunday. I can only imagine watching on TV or listening on the radio. Larson's still leading. There he goes. He's at the front. So, but
put a hurting on him.
He did. Yeah. What did he say? Old school ass whooping, something like that.
Yeah,
that's fair enough. Well, on that note, Jeremy, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being on Power Hour. Brennan, do you have any final closing thoughts?
No, it was just awesome to get to catch up with you and hear your thoughts. And we wish you nothing but the best, nothing but more clean racing between us the rest of the year. But yeah, it was a fun conversation, and we appreciate you coming on and talking with us.
Oh, thank you guys. Brennan, always enjoy racing with you. You do an awesome job. And if I ever get into you, it's not on purpose, I promise you. Because I know that Johnny Davis crew, they work their asses off just like our crew, and I don't want to do anything. But appreciate you, Eric, too. You being in the sport. I know you were on that 6 car last year at Phoenix. You were on our car a few times. So thank you for supporting our series.
Awesome stuff. No, but we appreciate you. Good luck this weekend at Charlotte, Jeremy, and we'll see you at the track later this year, dude.
Thanks, guys.
Huge thank you to Jeremy Clements for being on the latest episode of Power Hour. That was an awesome conversation. Really big fan of Jeremy. Brennan, it's the final segment of the show. This is the fan question segment. It's been a few weeks since our last episode, but I went back and looked on that Mark Martin episode, and we did get a good handful of questions. I picked out 2 that I think we will hopefully have good answers for. I'll just jump right into it. This first one comes from TM42, and they asked, what team did Brennan want to race for when he was growing up?
Yeah, that's a good question. For me, it's easy. I always wanted to drive for Rick Hendrick. I was a huge Jeff Gordon fan, started at the same racetrack as him. So like, I just, I always, looked up to Rick and Jeff and that whole team. There for a little while when Ray Everham left and did his own thing with the 9 and the 19 and all that. I thought that would have been awesome to drive for him, because I obviously so much respect for him because I was such a big Jeff Gordon fan. So I think, little Brennan 100% always wanted to drive for Rick Hendrick. There was nothing else set in my mind at all, like not even kind of. And I still would love to drive for Rick, whether that would happen or not. He's got a stable full of great young drivers, but I think the dream for me would be able to drive for him. And there's so many great owners now in the sport. I mean, I was teammates with Justin Marks. Look what he's done over there at Trackhouse and all that. That was an incredible thing to be a part of as well too. But so many. Richard Childress, I've spent many times talking to him over the years. Just an incredible man. So much history at that team. I mean, it's hard to pick one now. Just there's
now you're so much closer to everything. Like now a lot of these people, and it's like it's different now than when you're a kid.
Different.
Yeah, we just had Jeremy on the show, so I should ask you, Brennan, would you ever start your own NASCAR team?
Yeah, I would for sure. I love the sport so much that it's hard to picture yourself doing anything else other than driving. So I think I would. I mean, it's a battle, and I would need significant help. But for sure, I would love to own a cup team. Try to get my hands on one of those charters if I had the money that it takes to get one now. I looked at it seriously years ago, and was trying to raise money to get a charter, but things don't happen for a reason, so it is what it is. But I would love, for sure, that would be awesome.
Very certainly possible one day. That'd be interesting.
One
other question, this is kind of for both of us. I thought this would be a good one to kind of end with, from Jesse Cardinals. I think I'm saying that right. But Jesse asks, what is your favorite, actually there's 2 questions. First one, what is your favorite racing movie? We can answer that first. I'll go and say Cars. That kind of dates myself. My favorite racing movie is Cars. It's not the most.
So you weren't the Days of Thunder kid.
No, so I saw Days of Thunder for the first time a few years ago, and it was good. It definitely screamed late 80s, early 90s, and in some ways it was dated. But the racing 89? The racing scenes were fantastic. I would love, you've seen what Tom Cruise did with Top Gun Maverick, bringing that back, and the success it was.
Gosh,
I know, I think Bruckheimer and them are making like a F1 version of Days of Thunder with Brad Pitt. All right, that's fine. Who cares? Let's get Tom Cruise back in here and see what Cole Trickle's been up to after all these years. But my favorite movie,
he'd be the owner now.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I worry it'd just become the plot of one of my other favorite racing movies, Cars 3, where Lightning McQueen transitions from driver. It's weird because they're cars, but he's like driver to more like mentor, owner.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love the first Cars, even though the first Cars movie is not really that focused on racing. It's much more focused on Lightning McQueen's
life
evolution,
journey.
his journey from being a narcissistic a-hole to actually caring about friends and understanding what's important in life. But it's a great movie. I love Pixar growing up. And when they did a movie based on NASCAR, that came out, a year or so after I'd really started to get into NASCAR. So to see Pixar, the people who made Toy Story, make a NASCAR themed movie, blew me away as a kid. And it still holds up to this day as a very solid movie with some fun NASCAR cameos, references, and all that great stuff. So I would go Cars.
It's hard to like not say Days of Thunder, because like every driver my age is like Days of Thunder, and that's cool. Like I love Days of Thunder, so but I'm not gonna throw that same one and just be like, it's Days of Thunder and just like move on. I'm gonna say probably Rush with the Niki Lauda and James Hunt story. That has become one of my new favorites. And of course, I love Ford versus Ferrari as well. Just like the more new modern movies, it's just like the Days of Thunder is like, that's the nostalgia throwback. That's never going to talk. Like that's as soon as the opening credits start in Days of Thunder, it's just like I'm going to get emotional.
Yeah.
But those two movies now, like Rush and Ford vs Ferraris, are great.
Ford vs Ferrari is really good. Like I wasn't sure if good. Wasn't sure if I should have believed the hype, and then when I eventually saw it, I was like, oh no, that is a really, really good movie. It's just well made. It's just a well made movie. Like the racing scenes are great, but as just a movie on its own, if you're not a racing fan, you're gonna love that movie, or you'll find something to latch on to. That's a good movie.
I think it's like when you like try to pick a movie that's not racing related. I mean, there's so many good movies out that I love. I mean, like I'm a huge Rush Hour fan. Rush Hour is probably my favorite non-racing movie. Sorry, all three of them.
You got ahead of me, Brennan. I hadn't said it yet. But yes, the second part of Jesse's question was, what's our favorite non-racing movie?
Yeah, sorry, I jumped ahead.
Brennan was reading ahead in the script.
I was reading ahead. Yeah. I think it's hard to pick a non-racing movie, but like, I mean, Rush Hour, that's probably my favorite one. I would advise anyone to go watch Rush Hour. Like that. I watch that movie all the time. It gets you through everything. Right? It doesn't even matter. I mean, it just Chris Tucker, Jackie Chan, you can't beat you. It's hard to beat that. They're so good. But in recent, I'm a big film movie guy. I love that stuff. It's like some of my favorite things is watching shows and movies. My favorite movie of this past year, I'm gonna have to say though, it's a Brad Pitt movie. It's Bullet Train.
I need to see
it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Golly, that movie is unbelievable. There's a little, some gore stuff in there. So if you don't like that, you may not like it. And some of the fight scenes, like it's very like they show you some stuff that okay. But for the most part, man, that movie, golly, great laughs, funny all around, comes all together in the end. And it's just like, man, I love that movie. I've watched it a few times now, especially since they put it on Netflix.
Yeah.
Well, what about you? It's hard to pick
Well, so I went to film school when I was in college. Yeah. So I was a terrible film student because I'd walk around campus, I'd walk around the film and TV buildings and all these kind of pretentious, not all of them, but some of the students, you got just very, very, just pretentious, just kind of had that air about them. And it was,
they don't pick the fun films.
It's the latest, Scorsese movie, and he's made some great movies. Don't get me wrong. Oh my gosh. Anything Stanley Kubrick has touched is a masterpiece. I'm like, okay, yeah. Some of it's really good. Ton of respect. But when I go see a movie, I want to have a good time. I like being moved emotionally. It can be sad, but I like having a good time. And, it just hit me. My first answer, I'm going to come across as such a one-dimensional homer.
Because you picked Cars already?
Well, no, but I am my favorite movie, and I've been saying this for years. My actually favorite movie is a different Pixar movie. It's The Incredibles. I think The Incredibles is a fantastic film that holds up so well.
Films.
Yeah, that's why I'm sitting here, like, because then I'm thinking about the rest of my top movies, and there's like no animated films on that list. There's movies like I love the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. It's cheesy, it's ridiculous, but I love amazing. Whiplash, a more
that's
serious
so intense,
movie, a more intense movie. So like, but it is funny that this question immediately, like the two Pixar movies at the top of my list.
Oh my goodness,
get shout out. So I don't mean to come across as one dimensional.
When's the last time you watched Rush Hour? Have you even watched Rush Hour?
My dad showed it to me a long time ago. I don't remember it too well.
Eric.
He used to show me other Jackie Chan movies, and some of them blend together. I need to go back and watch. I think it's on my wall here.
Oh my gosh. Eric, you need to pop some popcorn tonight and and you and your lady, you need to watch Rush Hour immediately.
Oh,
Immediately.
Okay, let's end the stream. Okay, bye. No.
Yeah. Oh, I want to throw one thing out because I wouldn't be doing my justice if we were talking about favorite shows or TV movies or anything. I'm going to say hands down my favorite thing to watch, by far none. Nothing is close to it, and I'm going to get made fun of by everyone. It's Supernatural. Greatest TV show ever made. You're like Game of Thrones. No, Game of Thrones is no. You need to watch Supernatural, man. It's on Netflix, all 15 seasons. It'll get you through the next 2 years. You won't even need to figure out what you need to watch. You'll come home, you'll watch an episode. You're going to be good for like the next 500 days. I'm telling you, Supernatural is where it's at. I have a bunch of shirts. I'm going to wear a Supernatural shirt on the next show. I'm doing it.
Yeah, go for it. I like that. I've not seen Supernatural. My dad, I know, is a Supernatural fan. I don't know if he made it through all 15 seasons, but I know he was a fan for a while there.
So good. Oh, it's the best, Eric.
I like it. Brennan, I feel like you and I could talk movies and TV for a long time. We'll have to start doing dedicated episodes about that. But unfortunately for this week's show, we have surpassed the 1 hour of power.
Time. Is this going to be the first like over 1 hour and 15-minute show? I think so.
We will see. I might edit out literally folks, every dumb thing I said in this episode.
He's editing our conversations for you.
I'm editing it in real time actually as we speak. I'm that good. Man. But thank you everyone for listening and or watching Power Hour presented by Circle B Diecast. Really appreciate Circle B Diecast support and really appreciate all the kind words from you viewers and listeners both at the track the past couple weeks. I was at Darlington, I was at Wilkesboro, and I got a handful of fans who came up and said they really enjoyed the show. But also the comments on their last Mark Martin episode. That was so cool to get Mark Martin on, a NASCAR Hall of Famer, a legend. And it was really cool to see all the kind supportive words and just people sharing their own Mark Martin stories even. Like that's awesome. That was great to see. Brennan, another episode in the books.
Thanks to everyone for listening. Please leave us some more questions so that we can have plenty of questions to answer at the next show. Also, I want to throw a shout out to my Moonshine and Motorsports trail car I'm running this weekend. Right. Eric, you saw it up close and personal this past weekend.
Got a good look at that paint scheme.
So we're excited to host them this weekend. And if you're in North Carolina, you might want to check out the Moonshine and Motorsports Trail. There's some cool historic stops on it. So check it out. And also make sure you check out our car this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. No, Moonshine Motorsports Trail. They've got some cool destinations. I've got a video series that's been ongoing. Visited, obviously, North Wilkesboro Speedway, NASCAR Hall of Fame, Okanichi Speedway. That video went out earlier this week. Rockingham's on the trail list. If you can get in the doors of Rockingham, that's a pretty cool place to go scout around, check out.
Absolutely.
So that's awesome. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you race this weekend. Brennan, that car is going to look fantastic. We will see all of you on the next episode of Power Hour.